South African Airways Flight 201, SI-201. A de Havilland Comet 1 took off at 1832 UTC on 8 April 1954 from Campino Airport in Rome, Italy, en route to Cairo, Egypt on the second stage of its flight from London, England to Johannesburg, South Africa. The flight crashed at around 19:07 UTC, killing all on board. The flight was operated as a charter by British Overseas Airways Corporation, with a South African crew of 7 and carrying 14 passengers. Gary Bull and other BOAC engineers examined the aircraft for Flight 201. Previously, the same team had examined BOAC Flight 781, a comet that had broken up at altitude in January 1954. Prior to its final flight, Flight 201 took off from London for Rome at 13:00 UTC on Wednesday, 7 April 1954, on the first leg southward to Johannesburg, arriving at Rome approximately 2.5 hours later at 17:35 U. On arrival at Rome, engineers discovered some minor faults, including a faulty fuel gauge and 30 loose bolts on the left wing, which delayed the aircraft's departure by 25 hours before depart for Cairo on the evening of Thursday, 8 April. The aircraft took off for Cairo at 18:32 UTC under the command of Captain William Mustard and climbed rapidly toward its cruising height of 11,000 meters. The crew reported over the austere beacon at 18:37 UTC, passing through the altitude of 2,100 meters. The weather was good, but with an overcast sky. Another report was made from the aircraft, first at 18:49 UTC, at Ponza, where it reported climbing through 3,500 meters, and another at 18:57, when it reported passing a beam of Naples at 19:07 UTC. While still climbing, the aircraft contacted Cairo on the long-range HF radio and reported an ETA of 21:02 UT. This was the last message heard from Yoke, as sometime later the aircraft disintegrated in the night sky at around 11,000 meters, killing everyone on board. After repeated attempts at regaining contact by both Cairo and Rome air traffic control were made and went unanswered, it was realized that another comet had been lost. Initial news of the accident was leaked to the press by a German radio station which had been monitoring the radio transmissions. The New York Times wrote that Britain today weighed the cost of a stunning blow to her proudest pioneer industry, jet civil aviation, as the crash of another Comet airliner was confirmed. 21 persons, including 3 Americans, were believed to have died when the plane was lost in the Mediterranean. The discovery of at least 6 bodies and bits of wreckage floating in the sea about 70 miles south of Naples put a pall on the last hopes for the British Overseas Airways Corporation craft, missing since 6:57 o'clock last night. Tonight, the Minister of Transport, A.T. Lennox Boyd, withdrew from all comets the certificate of airworthiness that the aircraft won on 20 January 1952, pending further detailed investigations into the causes of the recent disasters. This second unexplained comet crash in 3 months came less than 3 weeks after the 4 Jet de Havilland airliner had been restored to commercial service with about 60 safety modifications. They had been grounded for 10 weeks since the previous comet crashed 10 John into the Mediterranean near the island of Elba with 35 dead. Early today, they were grounded again. Sir Miles Thomas, chairman of the airline, said the new crash was a very great tragedy and a major setback for British civil aviation. Bull said he found it difficult to accept the fact that the circumstances surrounding the crash of All Flight 780, 3 months earlier, had occurred again with the South African Airways flight. As soon as it heard of the crash, BOAC once again voluntarily grounded all of its comets as it had done 3 months earlier after the Sea Flight 781 disaster. The Italian Air Sea Rescue Services were notified and searching began at dawn the next day, subsequently involving the Royal Navy carrier HMS Eagle and the destroyer HMS Daring. Sometime later that day, a report was received from a BEL ambassador aircraft of an oil patch some 110 kilometers, 70 miles east of Naples and body and wreckage in the water 50 kilometers, 30 miles southeast of Stromboli. The depth of the Mediterranean Sea at the crash site meant that a salvage mission was ruled out as impractical. But if the cause of the BOAC crash was found, it would also explain the CES-A crash due to the close similarities of the two. At the time of the accident, the investigation into the crash of BOAC Flight 781 was still in progress, but suspicion of the cause of the crash had fallen on the possibility of an engine turbine failure. During the previous grounding of all comets, modifications had been made to the aircraft, including yoke that seemed to eliminate this possibility. After an extensive multi-year investigation chaired by Lionel Cohen, Baron Cohen, the official document of findings was released by the Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation on 1 February 1955 as Civil Aircraft Accident Report of the Court of Inquiry into the Accidents to Comet GAUI. 10 January 1954 and Comet GALY on 8 April 1954. The joint investigation of this accident and of BOAC 781 revealed manufacturer design defects, square windows, and metal fatigue that resulted ultimately in the explosive decompression that caused both accidents. The events of Flight 201 were included in Ripped Apart, a Season 6, 2007, episode of the Canadian TV series Mayday called Air Emergency and Air Disasters in the U.S., an air crash investigation in the UK and elsewhere around the world. This special episode examined aviation emergencies that were caused by pressurization failure or explosive decompression. The episode also featured episode 781. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to please like and subscribe. If you have a topic you would like to suggest, leave a comment.